Bengals take on the Jets. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast. Coming up on the Cincinnati podcast.
Hello, world. Cincinnati. You guys are the Yoshi creators, bro.
It's a new beginning. You know what that means, right?
But I know this, the whole NFL is scared of the Bengals.
Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim. Thank you guys so much for tapping in and tuning in with us. If you guys are watching this live on the YouTube, we appreciate that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you are new here, make sure that you leave us a comment that helps other people find this Bengals channel, this Bengals content. Also, make sure that you follow the Cincinnati Pod at Cincinnati Pod on Twitter. That is the only Cincinnati Pod. So if you're saying anything else out there, at Cincinnati Pod is the official one. Follow him at Zim Hude. Follow me at New Stripe City. We back, bro. We back. With Bengals now have an opportunity to get back to 500. It's been a while. They went on a 4-game losing streak, was able to get back in the winner circles against a very good Steelers team. They were able to put an upset over them in a game that they weren't favored. Now they are back in the favored circle, coming off of a mini bye, getting ready to take on the New York Jets. How you feeling tonight, partner?
I'm doing good, man. It's life with Joey Flock. You know, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I got some chocolate chip cookies in the oven right now. So, you know, life is good. We're chilling. You know, all is well when you're winning. So we're back in the winner's circle talking that talk. Hopefully we can get this thing to 500. And that's why we're here.
As you guys know, this is not a scripted show. We just come off the top of the dome. I'm actually gonna throw you a curveball that we did not talk about before the show. For me, and I think it's funny because a good friend of the show, Jordan Schultz, he had a kind of an update on several different aspects of the Bengals. Right, he talked about Joe Burrow, his return. They feel like that's realistically going to be in December. But the interesting thing was he confirmed that the Bengals are not interested in trading Trey Hendrickson. That was huge, right? He also confirmed that if the Bengals get to 4-4, they are going to be buyers, not sellers at the trade deadline. He seems to think that the Bengals could be looking for another player. I seem to be thinking the same thing. I know you did as well because you had a tweet that said the exact same thing. You expect the Bengals to be buyers.
Yeah.
What are the positions that you think that the Bengals are the players that you think the Bengals could potentially trade for at the trade deadline?
I could see them doing minimal moves such as getting a free agent, even if it's just a tryout for like I said this on maybe our last show, but like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think is a high risk because of the locker room stuff. It's not a trade, but I just think like him, Justin Simmons at that point, and then I would throw in Stephon Gilmore, right? Those are guys that at that point would be at a crossroads where it's either you don't have any more demands anymore, right? Because you will be probably talking about retiring or something like that if you go another year, you know, this year and some change without playing, with the exception of Chauncey Gardner. But Justin Simmons and Stephon Gilmore, those are two guys. If CTB, he practiced today, he's doing a lot of special team stuff. I think that we could be sellers on selling a guy like him or Logan Wilson, right? We can get to that one in a second. But those guys are low risk guys. That's not really a trade. I get it. That's where I think that they will start, because at that point, I think that they will say, we need to make sure that we're shored up in all these spots. And then that's given the landscape of the AFC North. You probably going to see an L from the Steelers or see an L from the Ravens to incentivize this even more. And depending on how many L's those teams have, like, because I think the deadline, correct me if I'm wrong, is up at week 9, not week 8, right? Like we're gonna have to confirm.
I don't know off the top of my head. If anybody, looks like it's November 4th at 4 p.m. Tuesday. November 4th at 4 p.m. is the trade deadline.
So that will be after the Bears game. Because
Let me double check. I'm not sure. Let me see.
I think that would be the Tuesday
It was
after that.
yeah, it would be Tuesday after. Yup. So it would be right
Okay.
after that Bears game.
So this is the one thing I've been saying. If the Bengals are 5-4, 1000%. And then that's where the conversation of I'm gonna go with the guy that I say I think yours is a little crazier. I'm gonna go with the one guy that I think that they should be looking at. I guess that is crazy. Guy I want is Quentin Williams. I think that Quentin Williams, we're gonna see this upcoming week, or Jermaine Johnson. The only reason why I kind of get away from the edge guys is because they just paid Osai, even though I know it's on a 1-year deal. You got Cedric Johnson that came back that was cleared. He's cleared to participate in practice now. I think that they'll say that guy, Miles Murphy, Shamar Stewart, that's a lot of edge rushers. And that's the only reason why I'm like, maybe they wouldn't do that one. And I know that everybody's like, well, those guys suck, but it's still like you can't just throw them away. Like, whereas the interior, I think you could confidently walk away from a BJ Hill contract right after the season like it was nothing. You got guys like in the Slayton contract if you weren't happy with what you got from that too. Like all those contracts you could just walk away with. Those edge guys are younger. So that's the guy that I would say. Who you got?
Yeah, I got Tariq Woolen, cornerback from the Seattle Seahawks. He's kind of not fitting what Mike McDonald wants to do. And I think, like, if you're talking about a corner-for-corner deal, send CTB for Tariq Woolen. You know, you're talking about a guy with a 6'4" frame, elite speed. So he has a little bit of a different body type than CTB. And with us having a smaller corner like DJ Turner, and Dax Hill isn't, you know, the tallest or anything like that, I think getting a Tariq Woolen would be, to me, a good swap for them to do. There's some other corners out there that are on the trade market that the Bengals could potentially look at. Another interesting one, I'm going to throw a curveball here because we kind of talk about the D-line and in the edge room. Jalen Phillips might be available, right? You talk about him and Bradley Chubb being mentioned. Obviously, with the Browns smoking them, there could be some guys up for grabs in Miami. I would definitely take a look at him. Obviously, he's got the 6'5" frame. His issue has been staying healthy, but you're talking about a guy that, you know, is young, is a disruptor. He has 25 sacks and 117 pressures over his 5-year career. He's somebody that I think that you could potentially look at. But when you talk about other corners, you talk about Alontae Taylor. That's a guy that the Saints have. He's a 2026 free agent that could be possibly earning a big payday. He's got versatility and he has a different kind of play style, and he has speed to cover on the perimeter, but he could also be a disruptive player in the slot. And that's what the Bengals are looking for if you do move on from a CTB. You also got a guy like Jermaine Johnson that's out there with the New York Jets. And I think the interesting thing will be, what do the Bengals do after this Jets game? Because they got Quentin Williams. You got someone like Jermaine Johnson that's out there. You also got somebody like Michael Carter II, a corner that could possibly be on the move as well. Roderick McCreary for the Titans, another guy that's out there. So there are some corners on the market where I feel like the Bengals could make a play. And I think it could be a combination of CTB. It could be Logan Wilson for someone. But I do think that they could potentially be big players in this market because you got some edges out there. You got some corners out there. You got some positions that the Bengals could be looking at. You also talk about Kingsley and Abare for the Packers. So you got some options out there that the Bengals could potentially be looking at where a Kyle Duggar might be available, right? Like Kyle Duggar is another one where we're talking about safety. A lot of people feel like the Bengals' main issues are corner, safety, and defensive line, like you kind of talked about, whether it's the interior with that 3-tech or whether it's the edge rushing aspect of that team. So I think that the Bengals could, you know, you talk about Azeez Ojulari. We talked about him a couple of times. So, like,
see,
out there where I feel like the Bengals could potentially make some moves.
Is Ojulari? This is the one thing I think getting a fresh start for a lot of those guys might go well, but I just don't see the Bengals getting a guy that's like a mid rusher. Like, to me, them signing Osai is that Ojulari like guy. Like if you're expecting more from like a Ojulari versus Osai, like what Osai did last game, I can't see it. I think maybe in a fresh start, maybe it will go like that. But that's why I was looking at the interior. But I will say though, this is the one that I called you a couple of days ago, and I said, if y'all remember, Ace was on the show and he was talking about Mad Max. And the only reason why I just want to bring this up is because I think now it's going to sound crazy because we got Joe Flacco, but I will say this: the AFC is wide open. All right, that's number one. The division is wide open. That's number two. The other thing that has to happen is almost a perfect storm, but it's kind of bad for us right now. Myles Murphy, if he were playing like a first-round talent when he was drafted, the contract that Max Crosby has right now is a contract that you will be offering to a guy like Myles Murphy. And to me, I would package him. I love Myles Murphy, but I think that it makes sense. Like they have a new ownership group. So their ownership group isn't going to be, the new guy isn't going to say, I'm the guy that sent Mad Max off and then the fans hate him. Now, if I'm saying in a hypothetical, if Mad Max requested a trade, I think the Bengals are a good trade partner for them. I think that the Bengals have a first round pick that I think that they should give them. And the reason why is because I think at this point, they understand, or they should understand, that they are a mid-drafting team. The one thing I will not defend the Bengals front office on is their drafting. I don't believe that they're drafting at a top tier level. I think that they're middle of the pack. They're probably like the 18th best. If we examine all the teams, there's a whole bunch of teams that missed on that don't have Chase Brown, that don't have Yoshis, that don't have Mims. You know what I mean? Like I can go over some good picks that we do have. And I think that's what makes us middle of the pack. It wouldn't be conceding to me, but I think in the window of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, the window is 2 to 3 years. Mad Max is guaranteed for the next 2 years. And to me, yes, it is absurd. It's very different. This is if Mad Max were to request a trade. I would send a first, send a Myles Murphy too if they wanted to, send a CTB, send a Logan Wilson, send whatever, you package it however you package it. But to me, the money that they spent for T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Gesicki, Joe Burrow doesn't make sense if you don't have a Super Bowl contending roster. And right now, I don't think that they have a Super Bowl contending roster because of the defense. I think their offense can be Super Bowl contending if Flacco goes crazy or Joe Burrow comes back and he's the Joe Burrow that we know that he is. With the defense the way that it is, it's no way. And I think that they had to have a real conversation about it.
This might sound crazy. What would you think about, because I had to think about this and I just did some research, and it sounds crazy because this person was traded already. This person was traded from this team twice in his career.
Okay.
Would you take an offer for Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins? If the Dolphins were like, we want to get rid of Minkah, his cap hit this year is like $4 million. He's somebody that the insider for the Dolphins said that they're keeping an eye on as somebody that might possibly get traded. Obviously, he got traded back in the day to the Steelers. He got traded in this Jalen Ramsey deal.
Right.
If the Dolphins are sellers, this is already a guy that has abandoned the Dolphins when they've been bad before. Could you see, this is crazy, could you see Minkah Fitzpatrick in a Bengals jersey?
I don't know if the fit is quite there. A lot of his game reminds me of Battle. Like it's making plays in the box. Now, the thing that made Minkah special before is the range. Battle showed his range last week. I think tackling-wise, you'll get way better tackling. But I think his skill set is very similar to that at this point in his career. Would I take him? Yes. I wouldn't give up much for him.
So, like, if you did trade for him, does that mean Geno Stone is safety 3? Like, does he start? I think because we're talking about an all-pro caliber. We're talking about an all-pro caliber safety.
Is he still that though? Like to me, I'm sending like a 5th, 6th round pick for the dude. The 6 that I just got that I just got from the Browns. I'm sending them that, and I'm clearing up cap for the Dolphins. Like, and how I would do the safeties, it'd be like a 3 safety. We'd be running a lot of big nickel stuff where you got 3
He can
safeties.
also play corner, so don't forget that he could also play nickel corner. That was the big thing about.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him against like top level corners. I'll put him up against like a Keon Coleman or somebody like that, but I ain't putting him up against like, I wouldn't even put him up against like a route runner like a Rashad Bateman or somebody like that. No, I think like at this point in his career, he is a piece that can help you get over the top. Just like, but see, that's why I led with the Justin Simmons thing, because you know I'm sitting there looking at even the Jets. I'm gonna tell you, dude. Cisco, that was a guy that from the Jags that I wanted a couple years ago. Even a guy like Cisco, I don't know what his situation. I'm just spitballing because, like Ace said, we just live. But somebody like that, I just feel like I go with youth a little bit. Minkah, I know it's a name. I would have to delete a lot of my tweets because I've called him dirty and I call him stinker all the time. So there's that too. You're a stinker fan though. You like stinker.
The reason I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is a needle mover for a defense. And I think that
is he
at this situation, I don't think that the Steelers defense has been the same since they lost him. I thought that they were losing a lot when they got rid of him just because he's always good for one of those pick sixes or one of those moves. And I feel like the Steelers are missing that now. Like it used to be the TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick show. And I feel like now they don't really have that person on the back end that makes those plays.
I let me ask you this. I led off with this.
Because remember that game we were at. You remember the game me and you were at. That Steelers game.
I do think he will make plays, but I also think about in terms of both sides of the coin. Bengals just gave up a 5th. They got the 6th, so no harm, no foul. But now we're talking about like whoever you're trading. If you're trading picks, they better hit. I think a lower risk move, and it's not quite the household name, is the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson one. You could bring them in, but the argument is this. Remember, just a year ago, we wanted Chauncey Gardner bad. The Bengals fans and everybody. Yeah. Do you know what the Eagles fans are on Twitter doing right now? Please come back, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Please, we need you. He makes plays, and that defense looks different without him. And if you could get him for the league minimum, why would I not bring him in like for a workout? Like I think that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is younger. Minkah actually isn't that old though. He just seems like he's old because he's been around for a while. Yeah, he's not that old.
Minkah actually, believe it or not, has been, at least according to PFF, has been good this season. So he's 75.2. He's got 1 interception. I think it's just a situation where he's trapped on a bad defense.
That's cool. I mean, I ain't saying no to none of these guys. I just think
it was just something that came to mind because I was like, who else is available? And then it was like, oh, Minkah, like their insider is like, yeah, Minkah might be available. A lot of people aren't thinking about it just because he was involved in the earlier trade. And then I was like, I heard a lot of Bengals fans talking about safety. Obviously, if you're trying to make a splash at safety, like a Kyle Duggar, a Minkah Fitzpatrick, that would be a splash. But to be honest with you, I feel like the safeties are playing good enough. I feel like Jordan Battle's having a great year. I feel like Geno Stone has made plays. So you wouldn't take Minkah then?
Yeah. But I think that Battle and Battle and Stone, I think that they do make plays but they're too up and down and they're inconsistent. And the reason why I think that they should, address the situation, even if it's a Justin Simmons or somebody just being in the right place, or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for nothing, is to put a little bit of smoke behind them too and let them know like your job is not safe like you think it is. And then also, I just think that being in the right spot in that Steelers game literally might be like 7-10 points less on the scoreboard, but they just give it up every other week where they're just giving up plays that you're just like, why did you do that? And then they'll make a good play, and and it's just too inconsistent. And when you start talking playoff football and you think about our runs and how we look, we ain't give up none of them. There are no games that you could really show. Like you would have to go to AJ Brown catching a miraculous catch on a Woozier in the corner of an end zone. It's always something real crazy like that. But like just giving up blown assignments in a big game, for those two, I just don't trust them. And that's why I'm like, bring me in a veteran dude like a Minkah, cool. But I just think a Chauncey Gardner or somebody like that is just there. Justin Simmons is just there. Like, what is stopping them?
They were like,
from bringing
Logan Wilson, Logan
for
Wilson,
Minkah,
and a pick swap for Minkah.
Sure, yeah.
The reason I say Minkah is because since
oh
he
my
was
god,
traded,
Minkah for
since he was traded,
oh my
bro,
god,
his cap hit is only $4 million, so it's not it goes to $18 million next year. But right now, this year, because he made the trade, I think the Steelers actually ended up eating most of the cap hit for this year.
Who's his agent? Isn't his agent David?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I know that's Jalen Ramsey.
I know Osai is his it looks like Joe Siegel.
Okay.
That name sounds familiar. Isn't that somebody the Bengals deal with? Joe Siegel? But yeah, getting off of the Minkah thing. I just thought that was interesting because it was like,
I thought you would spend more time on Max Crosby. All this stinker glaze is crazy. That was like 10. That was a 10-minute stinker. Like what?
I mean, Max Crosby, obviously, like if they were able to land someone like that, like a Max Crosby, that would be great. I just don't know where it's at now that he's got a new deal.
It's super crazy. So, it's super crazy. It's super. The Max Crosby, the contract itself is not bad, bro. It's just 2 years of guarantees. When you look at the landscape of football, it's not bad. It's what you would have to pay. I don't know. Like, what's the edge rusher that's going off right now? Like, did Nick Bonito get paid? Like, it's way less than what a upcoming guy. Like right now, it's very favorable, bro. So like to me, if he requested a trade, I just think that Bengals should be in play for it. Do you? I think we do need to get into the game, though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's get into the Jets game.
Hold on.
Bengals don't know who to expect at the quarterback position because Aaron Glenn isn't really letting them know from a competitive standpoint. He said he doesn't want to let them know like who the starting quarterback is early on. Now, just know that Tyrod has a knee injury. So we're talking about either Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. Obviously, he's questionable. But this is a situation where also Garrett Wilson is questionable. Sauce Gardner is questionable. Breece Hall is questionable. Jermaine Johnson. A lot of the guys that are talked about that may be being potentially moved. Now, I wouldn't mind trading for Sauce at all if they're willing to give him up. But when it comes into it, which quarterback would you rather face? Would you rather face Tyrod Taylor or would you rather face Justin Fields?
That's a tough question. I think I'd rather face Tyrod, honestly, especially with a banged up knee. I watched a couple of snaps from the game, just watching ball or whatever, but he didn't look as fast as the Tyrod I remember when he was like in Buffalo or whatever. I do think running quarterbacks pose a problem, but I will tell you, all season they do not get the ball. They do not score points. Their offense is dreadful. One thing that I did go and watch is like their pass defense is still performing pretty well. Even, we're going to talk about injuries a little bit, but, Sauce Gardner's in concussion protocol, all these different things. But their pass defense is pretty decent, and they probably could have won a couple of these games. But the offense with Justin Fields, he just cannot get the ball down the field. So that's the guy that I don't think I'm going to take the easy way out on this one. I don't think I mind either one. I think that they're probably going to perform at the same level throwing wise. And I just think Justin Fields adds a little bit more running ability. I just think we were closed down on that in a red zone opportunity when you force him to throw. And I think it would be hard for him to get off. I think DJ Turner's playing really good ball. So him on Garrett Wilson doesn't really scare me like it probably would have scared me a couple of weeks ago. It's still a matchup that you better respect. So there's that.
Yeah.
But
And
I don't know
that's
who
if
would you
Garrett
rather?
Wilson ends up playing, right? Like he was out last week. I would rather. I'm with you. I think I would rather play Tyrod. I think Justin Fields is very dangerous when he's running the ball. I think that he's up there with Lamar Jackson in terms of how good his athletic ability is with the ball in his hands. I think he's more of a playmaker as a running quarterback than he is with his arm. Obviously, he's got some challenges with his arm, but I think when, I've come to know him and he's been on my fantasy team, because of what he does on the ground. Like he's a guy that can bust a 70, 80, 90-yard run out of nowhere, right? So like that's where you have to be worried about what he can do when it comes to that in a game, whereas Tyrod, you don't have the threat of that. And like you said, he's less mobile because of the knee injury, so you can really have a more predictable game plan against him if you're out Golden. If it's Justin Fields, you just really can't predict those scrambles. Those happen when plays break down. I mean, obviously you could have a quarterback spy and stuff like that, but you just don't know where that play is going and what's going to happen and how to have people in position to make sure that you're able to clean that up. So I definitely would rather face Tyrod Taylor for sure. Michael Rolfe here has a super chat. Appreciate the support, Michael. He says, you both are Himothy. Love the show. Miles Murphy needs to stop playing like Jake Browning and play like Killer Flack. Take off his Clark Kent glasses and become Superman. Miles Murphy. That's crazy.
Okay.
But shout out to you, Michael. We appreciate you.
He got
we
a
want to see more from Miles Murphy for sure. I do agree with you on that. He also has another one. Geno Stone is asleep at the wheel. I think a factor is he has two rookie linebackers in front of him and a DL that can't get pressure without Hendrickson. We desperately need Geno Atkins 2.0 for interior rush. Sauce for our first. Yes, bro. I wouldn't even think about it. I would give up first rounder for Sauce. They could take CTB as well with him. They could take Logan Wilson if you giving me Sauce.
You would give up a first result? I wouldn't.
I would.
I don't want that contract.
There is no corner I feel like the Bengals are going to be able to draft in the first that's better than Sauce Gardner. I honestly
Will Johnson just showed you.
I've seen, but they didn't draft Will Johnson. And I was like, they should draft Will Johnson, and they passed on him. I've seen William Jackson III. I've seen Drake Kirkpatrick. I've seen who was the other dude? From Michigan State, Darquez Denard. Yeah, give me Sauce Gardner, bro. Because like
Sauce Gardner, you know that he doesn't really, like this season, he definitely is still not allowing that much. But there are instances where he gives it up he's giving up a lot of yards on some of these games, bro.
I know the that lockdown. I know some people say he's overrated. I do think that there's some truth to that. But if you're talking about a guy that will be able to completely shut one side of the field down, yeah, I'm taking Sauce. I don't think that they'll do it because they just extended him, unless Aaron Glenn doesn't. And Aaron Glenn is a former corner, so I don't think his first move for blowing up the Jets would be, I'm going to trade our star cornerback.
It's not that I don't believe in Sauce Gardner. I think that you could go to the draft and like even the guys like, what's the kid on the Bears, Tyreek Stevenson, or like all these dudes. I feel like
a first might be too rich, bro, because he's got the deal.
He already got paid.
Yeah,
so
I can't give him a first. Yeah, I can't give him a first.
That's the thing is like I can't do that. But the more
important, a second and a fourth in CTB.
No, and the reason why is no, bro, no. Now, if we're talking his other tweet or super chat about Geno Atkins 2.0, yeah, like if Quentin Williams right now for like a fourth, like I know Quentin's been like he got paid too, but like give me a dominant defensive, like in our division, Matabuke, to me, him not being on the Ravens is a big deal. It's bigger than Lamar, like low key. I think they're cooked without him. The teams that have the guys that can actually stop the run and give you some rush, I just think it's far more impactful for a team that already has Trey Hendrickson. If you combine that and with Shamar Stewart, I think that all of our corners will look good. A lot of these teams that we play, their corners really aren't that great. I don't think that the Packers, like the kid Nixon and the other dude, I think they're pretty good, but I think that their pass rush makes them look good. If you give me the trenches up front, and give me one of them interior guys that can get some pass rush, like our intentions with Sheldon Rankins, our intentions with like some of this other stuff, I think that our corners will be fine. I like the youth. I like Dax Hill in some of those spots. I like Marco Wilson in some spots too. I think that they have guys that can play and make plays, and they've shown that they made plays. But without a pass rush, they're nothing. You're just gonna get Sauce Gardner in a bunch of PI situations like he got cooked. What was that, like 2 weeks ago where George Pickens cooked them up? George Pickens put like a 90-yard bomb on that dude. Like, if you don't have a pass rush, bro, I'm telling you, like, in 2025, none of that matters. You can't even touch these dudes.
Man, I feel you, bro, but if it's not Quentin Williams, I would definitely send something for Quentin Williams. Don't get it twisted.
I'll send a second for Quentin right now, bro. I think he would change. Yeah. I think he would be like.
Quentin would definitely change a lot.
Quentin would change. Like, bro, half the stadium by year 2 will be having Quentin Williams jersey. Like, I think Bengals fans are thirsty.
Give me,
bro. Bengals fans are thirsty for another defensive guy. Like, we don't have no star. Like, we ain't had no star since Geno Atkins, bro. Like, they are like. For me, that. I just think that right. I think if you could put some pressure
on me on that, because I think if you only have to give up a second, he's 27 now. You plug him right in with like a Shamar Stewart, that the defense goes, I think, to another level more.
We would be nasty. Corner. The reason why we so emphatic, or you were about Max Crosby, is because you know what I know. If you got two right, anybody help out Trey Hendrickson on this defensive line, it's a problem. And the reason why nobody talk about Trey Hendrickson like that is only because he's on the Bengals. If he was on any other team, what he's been doing, even in a down year, bro, got 4 sacks already. But when you watch the tape and watch those games, them quarterbacks' clock is sped up. If Shamar Stewart gets into whatever he talked at his locker room today, he called his performance subpar. He said he's got to get better. He did mention the ankle injury, might have set him back some, whatever. But all of these different things, if you give Trey Hendrickson a legitimate guy, I just think that the whole defense, all these things that we're talking about on our secondary, I think they're very small. I think that they're very small. But if you look at the Aaron Rodgers plays that were really well, is Aaron Rodgers 8.5 seconds. Is Aaron Rodgers on 3rd and 18, no pass rush, rushing 3. Is defensive edges dropping back? Like, nah, bro, go get him. If we could go get him, I think that this team would look so different. The NFL has changed so much, bro. It's really about just getting teams off the field on 3rd down. You can't touch these dudes. Like, if the game is close, you're going to be able to throw a bomb up, get a PI. Like, it's just crazy now, bro. You literally have to dominate the trenches and have a whole bunch of motor guys like how the Colts are doing right now on their defensive line, and then they got a crazy offensive line. You have to beat guys up in the trenches, and then everything else kind of comes into play. Like, okay, what's your one-on-one matchup with Justin Jefferson? Like, da-da-da. But, like, it's just ridiculous how much it's so favored in the offense's favor. And the shutdown corner, like, does it even really exist? Like, Pat Surtain, like, is it really?
It's been so long since we've had one. I think it's.
But do you think the league? Do you think the league? Like, how many can you count? Can you count more than 5 shutdown corners in the NFL that, like, no matter what, you're not getting 50+ yards on?
5 corners in the NFL, you're not getting 50+ yards on.
I'll give you sauce.
I would say 50 in a touchdown, because if I hold a receiver to 50 yards, I shut him down. In my opinion, without a touchdown, like 50 yards, if you hold Jamar Chase to 50 yards and no touchdowns, that's like a shutdown game for
So
for him or like
Denzel
a
Ward.
AJ Brown or somebody like that.
So Denzel Ward.
I think Denzel Ward. I think Pastor Tan. I think Sauce Gardner.
Pause.
I think Trent McDuffie. I think Derek Stingley, even though he just got cooked.
I like Stingley.
Stingley,
I don't think I wouldn't put McDuffie in that category. I would.
Yeah, I think McDuffie is nice, bro. I think
I do. He's nice.
I know he's an op.
Yep.
But I would probably put McDuffie up there. Who else? McDuffie.
The kid, the dude. What's the dude? Jalen Johnson.
I want to say Jalen Johnson, but I don't watch him as closely.
He on IL right now. That's probably why I like.
Yeah, but I think Christian Gonzalez, is somebody that could enter that stratosphere as well. I think Christian Gonzalez, but he's always hurt all the time, so we never really get to see him. But that would be my short list. I don't think that there's anybody outside of those guys that really measure up. I think then you get into that second tier of guys there. But let's not just talk about corners. Keys to the game. I think one of the keys to this game is going to be, obviously, Joe Flacco cannot turn the ball over. He's got to still continue to protect the ball. This is still somewhat of a dangerous Jets defense, right? Their offense isn't getting things going, but their defense can still be somewhat dangerous. We talked about Quentin Williams. We talked about Jermaine Johnson. We talked about Sauce Gardner. So obviously you have to be able to scheme up something against these guys to make sure that you're keeping them on their heels. I think that you definitely need to try to have a balanced attack between the run and the pass because that opened so many things for the Bengals last week. And obviously the Jets aren't just going to stay in cover 3 all game like the Steelers did with giving up everything up underneath. So you got to be prepared to go to something else if they do start sitting on those routes, if they do start trying to sit in the middle of the field and keep that from being open. This is an 0-7 Jets team, so I think that you got to punch them in the mouth and try to take the fight out of them. I mean, there's only so much fight that they have left at 0-7, so I think that you got to get that out of the way. And then defensively, man, they just have to get some kind of pressure against this offensive line that the Jets have. They're battling a lot of injuries right now. I just saw too much time for Aaron Rodgers last week. There was one point where he had 8 seconds to throw at one point. It was disgusting. The Bengals defensively have to at least get some type of pressure on him. Hopefully, if you get someone like a Trey Hendrickson back, he helps in that area. But continue to push that narrative of forcing turnovers, especially against bad offenses and bad quarterbacks out there, whether it's Justin Fields, whether it's Tyrod Taylor. Force them to make bad decisions and get the ball back to your offense and get out of there with a win. What are your keys to the game?
I'm very similar to you. I think one person I don't think you said was Breece Hall. I think getting Breece Hall down on early downs and then making sure that you're I would put a robber in all of these scenarios for the check down. I think Breece Hall has the potential to go and kill you in the short game, and we've seen a lot of quarterbacks do that. To the Lou Anarumo defenses is like the death by 1,000 paper cuts. We're just throwing those underneath passes for offense that's struggling. I just think that getting that out the way, maybe making a statement play. I don't know. Sauce was in concussion protocol. You all tell me if he's going to be available or not. But like making a big play early in this game, I think like T. Higgins on Sauce or somebody like that. Remember that actually happened. Remember they had that other time T had the play on Sauce, and then they concussed him and knocked him out the game in that same game, and T was going crazy. Remember the T. Higgins catch in the back of the end zone that they said wasn't a catch? So we played them twice, but one of them we were getting out on them because our season was like looking shaky, and so we had to get that dub. I thought the big plays and killing them early took a lot of their confidence away because they had a good defense then. If you really think about it, the Jets, somebody brought this to my attention. The Jets are a lot like, what's the big difference between the Jets and the Steelers, really? That Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Remember, Jets went and paid all them dudes, got a real good defense, and then Aaron Rodgers runs out with the flag and he tears his Achilles. But in the Steelers just got Aaron Rodgers now. They went and spent all that money on the defense or whatever. So I think there's a lot of similarities on like how they built their roster and what they're about. And I think the difference to me, though, is a guy like Quinnen Williams and some of those interior guys. I think the linebacker that I really like too, I think he's hurt. He hadn't played since week 3. Williams, his first name escapes me. But there's a couple of guys I think that can put some pressure on it. But I will say the depth of the defensive line isn't the same. Jay Tufele is a guy that Bengals fans will remember is currently active and playing. And that's a guy that couldn't even make the Bengals roster. So, like, oh yeah, Quincy Williams, there we go. So, like, you got all these different talents around their team that I think are pretty good. But I think if the Bengals offensively make a statement early on, go right at them with what their strengths are and go and take those away and make them feel lifeless and force them to get out what they want to do, Joe Flacco could do what he did last week and just feed the targets, keep those guys. Like, I want to make sure Jamar and T are very mindful of just staying healthy too in these games too. In a game like this, especially if they can get a lead, I don't need to see you trucking people or anything like that. Get the catch, go down, and let's go to the next play. We got a long season.
Yeah, for sure. So key is Bengals just need to get out here and get to 4-4. And I think the season is back. Speaking of being back, we're going to toss over at Midwest Best Barbecue.
Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. They was them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like Aces and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Hot honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Cincinnati podcast. We appreciate you guys so much. If you are watching, please head on over to YouTube, give this a like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate y'all so much. Zim, was there anything that you want to say before we get up out of here?
Yeah, so scary.
Coming up on the Cincinnati podcast.
Cincinnati. You guys are the Yoshi creators, bro.
It's a new beginning. You know what that means, right?
But I know this, the whole NFL is scared of the Bengals.